Hello, and today we're moving on to miracle number 6 in our Principles of Miracles. And principle number 6 states that miracles are natural. When they do not occur, something has gone wrong. And this is one of my favorites. I probably say that every week, but I really love just the very simple truth to that miracles are natural. Miracles are actually our birthright. We are the children of God. So we were born to know and experience miracles. When we're not experiencing miracles, it means somehow we've gotten off track from the truth or from reality. Okay, so if you're one of my students, you've probably heard me talk before about how in my personal life I use heaven as my litmus test. So what that means is I think of heaven as being the truth, because we are spiritual beings and our spirits originate with God, right? In heaven. I call it heaven. You might use different words, and that's totally fine too. But for me, our spirit's home, its truth, lies in heaven. So when I close my eyes and I think of heaven, what's there? All that's there is peace and love and joy and light, and that light represents the enlightenment, right? The revelation of the light of God, being present to the presence of God, being totally immersed and embraced by that unconditional love, allowing it to flow to me and through me. Okay? So that's the truth. Heaven, to me, that is the truth. Everything else is an illusion. Our physical bodies are an illusion. Our emotions are an illusion. Even the random thoughts that go traveling through our heads at 100 miles an hour, all illusions, right? Some of those illusions help us figure out what we really value so we can find our way back onto our path of heaven, right? We came here to create on earth as it is in heaven. It's the only reason we incarnated, right? So think about it logically. Why would you leave heaven? Right? You wouldn't leave here to suffer or to pay for debts or any of that kind of craziness. You would only come here because it sounded like a really fun idea, right? We came to earth to actually experience ourselves as the creator of heaven. But you can't really do that when you're in heaven with the creator, right? Because in heaven, that's all that there is the love, the light, the peace, and the joy. So in order for us to experience ourselves as the creator of heaven, we created this illusion called earth so we could come try out our little heavenly tools to create our own heaven on earth. The problem is most of us forget why we came here, and we become so distracted by the illusions, right? We've taken a detour into illusions, which is delusions, right? And we've gotten so sucked into that whole delusion that we forgot why we're really here. And we're really here to create heaven. Okay? So if we're not creating heaven, it's simply because we've gotten distracted by something else. Think about people in your life. I know for me that many of the people in my life are distracted by physical illness, or they're distracted by financial worries, or they're distracted by relationship problems, or they're distracted by conspiracy theories, or they're distracted by whatever it is that they're distracted by. But the the element that underlies all of those things that they're distracted by is they're all fear-based. So they've allowed their fears to become bigger than their God. Interesting, huh? They've allowed their fears to become bigger than their truth. Interesting, right? And we all do it. We do it from time to time. Because within this physical illusion, it's really easy to forget who we really are. And we really are the children of God. We really are that peace, that love, that light, that joy. If we're not experiencing that, it's simply because we've forgotten who we really are. Again, we've become distracted by an illusion. So, again, going back through a couple of things we've already talked about, our number one priority in our life should be working on our relationship with God, working on our relationship with heaven, working on our vision of creating our heaven on earth. I can tell you, if you are not actively creating your heaven on earth right here, right now, you're probably suffering. And it might be physical suffering, emotional suffering, mental suffering, but it's some sort of suffering because you've forgotten why you're really here, right? When we forget why we're really here, the soul's like, this isn't what I signed up for, right? None of us signed up to come here to suffer. None of us signed up to come here to be in pain. So if we're experiencing those things, those experiences are simply trying to remind us of who we are. And sometimes we have to experience what we're not so we can remember who we are. You know, I've had clients who have been given death sentences, you know, things like, you know, diagnosis of pancreatic cancer or things like that. They're fine. They're alive and well because they found their way to me and I ask them, you know, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to create heaven on earth or do you want to just go back to the real heaven? Because really the choice is yours at this point. And they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, okay, that's honest. So if you were to create heaven on earth, what would that look like? And they'll start thinking, I'd love to do this, or I'd love to do that, or I'd love to experience whatever. I'm like, okay, so let's start working on that. Well, what about my sickness? I'm like, what about it? It's just an illusion. You know? Work towards what you want to create. The illusion will probably just vanish. And in the meantime, you can do this and this or whatever. But what's interesting is when we get so focused on creating our heaven, and usually our heaven involves what's in the highest and best for all, you know? Like sometimes people will be like, well, my heaven would be having $1 bazillion in the bank. Okay, so then what would you do with it? How would you use that $1 bazillion to serve all your brothers and sisters? Because we are one human family. And when we're working on me, that in that separation mentality, that's very disturbing to our souls because our soul doesn't know me. Our soul is our collective consciousness or our collective we. So if I'm working on creating things for me and myself alone, I end up feeling very separate and very alone and very fearful that people are going to try to get from me everything that I have. But when I just allow abundance to flow to me and through me for the purpose of serving others, I find myself in this magical flow. You know, I don't have to hold on to everything because I know that whatever I need, God will provide to me in the moment that I need it. Fearless. There's nothing to fear. So this week I'm going to suggest that you become very mindful about your thoughts and just kind of notice, oh, is that a fear thought or is it a love thought? If it's a fear thought, just acknowledge, oh, that was a fear thought. That's not really any fun. And redirect your thoughts to something that brings you joy and peace and love and enlightenment. You know, this is the week of holiday spirit with our families. At the time of the filming, it's December 23rd, and so this week is really a time of peace and love and joy. Hopefully. For many people, it's a time of chaos and craziness and worry. So if you're caught up on that path, it's okay. Just notice, oh, I'm doing this to myself. I'm creating this all by myself. And I can create something different right now. Right this moment, I can be peaceful and joyful and loving and light. And that's my prayer for you this week. I pray that you know the presence of God in every moment, that you're surrounded with love and light. And I also hope that Santa brings you everything you wish for. So have a wonderful holiday. Thank you so much for being part of my spiritual family. I love you. Have a great one.